and welcome to CasaLoud Chats, a podcast dedicated to Nickelodeon's The Casa Grandes and the Loud House universe. And I'm your host, Sunny. And welcome to CasaLoud Chats, a brand new series as we're talking about the season retrospectives of the Loud House, the main show, as we're talking about each season of the Loud House celebrating its 5th anniversary. This month in May was the 5th anniversary of the Loud House. And to celebrate the 5th anniversary, I wanted to go back and talk about each season of the Loud House respectively and give it its time to talk about it and how each season has evolved through the years and how we look back at each season. And of course, today we're starting out with season 1 as we start with the beginning of the show, as we look back and see how things have changed since then and how things have, been since season 1. But I'm actually not alone in talking about season 1 of the Loud House today on this season retrospective. I have, of course, a very special guest with me. He's been on my show multiple times. You know him as Seren from the CasaLoud Cybercast. Welcome back, Seren.
Hey, how are you? I'm very happy to be back.
I'm very excited to have you on again, as always, because I love doing this stuff with you. Because I've recorded with you, you record with me, we do the Casa Live sessions sometimes when those happen. But yeah, no, thank you again for doing this with me.
I'm finally glad that we can actually do this. It's been rescheduled like 4 times.
Yeah, so I'm recording these in advance, so when these come up, these will obviously be in order. But I've recorded some episodes before this one, if you're in the future. So, finally getting to do this one. I've been holding it up for so long, and finally getting it done. And then I have to record another episode on my own, talking about the new episodes, since those are all over the place, so... But I'm glad I finally get to do this, and with you. Alright, so... okay, so we're talking about Season 1. And so I have a bunch of questions to ask you about Season 1 of The Loud House. Of course, it's drastically different than everything we've experienced in the past 5 years of the show, as the show has evolved and changed through the years. And so I like to describe this season as, well, the Lincoln House. Because it is Lincoln's show, and the show is mostly, the main plot, the main storyline, or, the main theme of Season 1 is Lincoln surviving in a family of 10 sisters and how to survive in that and all that stuff. So I want to ask you, my first question is, what is your opinion of Season 1? Looking back at it now, we've had 4 or 5 seasons of the show now. What is it about Season 1 that you think has, what makes it different or stand out from all the other seasons now?
Well, the biggest thing with Season 1 is it's the season that I really only go back and watch, if I'm trying to go back to sleep at night and it's on. That's the only time I really watch Season 1. It's very forgettable and doesn't have a lot of memorable episodes to me. It has a few, Save the Date. I think that's in Season 1.
Yes, that is a classic.
But most everything in that season is kind of forgettable and I don't really want to watch anymore, but I'll watch it if it's on.
That's an interesting opinion. I wouldn't say Season 1 is forgettable. I would say it's memorable in a sort of, I don't want to say bad way, but I want to say kind of an interesting way. Because there's episodes that a lot of us don't particularly like, and ones that just stand out as, not being great. I mean, you have a very controversial episode of Season 1, Out in the Limo, which is probably a very, one of the least favorite episodes of the fandom, myself included as a Lincoln fan. And again, the majority of episodes in Season 1 are mostly focused on Lincoln's perspective, and the sisters are kind of an obstacle. But I do agree that there are a lot of episodes where I think some of them are kind of forgettable, like the one where they're, doing chores or some other things like that. But I still think Season 1 has this, I wouldn't say reputation, but more it has this legacy of being a season that people don't particularly forget, but mostly not fond of, I would say. Is that a good description for Season 1? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, there are, again, I think there's a lot of iconic episodes of Season 1. I could name a ton of Season 1 episodes I really do enjoy. But some people are going to say, well, because you're a Lincoln fan, it's biased. And, well, yes, but also the fact that I think Season 1 Lincoln is kind of hard to look back on. Because he was kind of a jerk in Season 1, not going to lie. I don't really like Season 1 Lincoln that much, but, it's nice when we look back at these seasons and think about, how the show has changed. But, okay, so my next question to you is, for season 1, what are some of your favorite episodes or moments or anything that stands out to you season 1 that you can remember about any episodes of this season? Anything that you particularly liked about season 1? What stands out to you?
Well, I think we can just both agree right off the bat. Save the Date was one of the biggest moments of season 1 that stands out, especially. But some of the others, like I think the pilot Left in the Dark is a classic. I still love watching that one to this day. House music, because obviously I'm kind of into that sort of thing, so it just sticks out to me personally. Um, I like the Loudest Yard, the one where Lynn takes Lincoln's place at the football season. I personally like that one a lot. I can't think of any more of this because like I said, it's there's not a lot that I go back and love watching to this day. I'll just kind of watch if they're on the rest of them.
Yeah, I agree with a few of those. Like, again, Save the Date was my first episode of the show. I got into the show, like, literally into the middle of season 1. So, I know a lot of people have strong opinions on Save the Date, but to me, it is a classic. It stands out. It's just iconic, and no one will forget how great it is, so I always praise it. An episode I really love from season 1 that a lot of people don't talk about, but I think is a great finale. Like, this episode to me is like, the show really doesn't have many finale episodes that feel like you just wrapped up a season and it feels so satisfying. To me, Homespun is such a it really like feels like a finale of the show. The show never got so many more seasons. It wrapped up the whole theme of season 1 where it's about Lincoln surviving in a family full of sisters, but they're trapped in the basement and they're all like reminiscing about moments where they're gonna miss their house if their house gets destroyed by like a tornado or something, and see all the like unused episode ideas they could have came up with, like Lori Bobby's first date, or some other moments where they were like the air conditioner broke, so they used it to like skate around the house and stuff. And just looking back at those little moments, like made me realize why I like the Loud House so much is because I liked the family dynamic and seeing how close the family was. So knowing that like their house could be destroyed, and it's like maybe we'll get a new one. And it's like we'll miss our house. I know our house is kind of crappy, but I think we'll miss it, and we really like the moments we've had in this house and stuff. And so I think Homespun really should be celebrated more because it feels like a finale of the show if the show never got renewed.
Right, I agree, and I actually that's one of the ones I forgot about, but not because of my previous point that it's quite forgettable, but because I don't think I've seen that one but like one or two or maybe three times, and it's been a quite a long time since I saw it last, so I don't remember a whole lot about it. But from what you described, I definitely can agree that it's a finale instead of just being a final episode to a season. It has that dynamic of being a finale.
Yeah, and like you were talking about house music, and I remember that episode is again like the first episode where it's not really focused on Lincoln, but they started to like start focusing on the sisters or give them more significant parts than just like being stereotypes or just being one note characters. Like the one episode I remember, like because I came to the show as a Lincoln fan, I started out not liking the sisters. I didn't really think they were that interesting, even though they all had their own like distinct one traits that they all had. But I remember the Lola episode, Toddler's Tale. I remember that episode made me really like Lola as a character, seeing that they could focus on the sisters and give them actual like plots and characters and motivations and goals than just Lincoln and focusing on him. Because again, I feel like looking back at season 1, a lot of stuff started to get stale. Like with Lincoln, majority of the episodes would be like he's with Clyde and are going on an adventure, or like he's trying to avoid his sisters, or saying how rude and obnoxious his family is, and it's like you can only do that a few times before it gets stale. So, but I think looking back at season 1, it's definitely a season where they were trying stuff out, but then they realized like we can actually do stuff with the sisters than just Lincoln.
Right. And and another one that I forgot to bring up was the one where Lincoln goes to his first concert. I can't remember the name of it,
Oh, Rodeo.
but
No, not
I
Rodeo.
like that one.
For Bros About to Rock.
Right. Okay. I love that one a lot as
Oh
well. I
yeah,
forgot
that's
to
a
watch that one.
classic. I think that's like a rare like that. That to me is like if you think about season one Loud House, I think a lot of people will agree that episode is great just because we get like Luna's backstory. Like I don't think with the sisters we don't really get a lot of their backstories and how they got into their own things. Like I think Luann had one and maybe Lori had one, but that one actually explained why Luna got into music, and they really just again evolved her character and made her stand out than just being the music girl. Or I was also thinking about, I think an episode that people used to like but don't talk about anymore is Toads and Tiaras. I think that's a great episode, just because like Lincoln helps Lana train for the pageant to become Lola, and I like it like he trains her really hard, but then he realizes Lana should just be herself. And I love that little speech he gives to Lana where it's like, just go out there and be yourself. It doesn't matter if you're Lola or not. I want you to be yourself and you can do whatever you want. And Lana actually won in the end. Like, I think that episode's really great. It's definitely, to me, it's a masterpiece and people should definitely remember it. Because I remember a lot of people liked it, but then nobody ever talks about it again.
Yeah, I like that episode, but I'm in the guilty group who doesn't talk about it anymore.
So another question to you is, do you have any least favorite episodes of season one? Because well, there's plenty of episodes I could pick up for season one, but do you have any episodes you don't like at all?
Well, I mean, the one that sticks out to me the most is heavy metal because I just saw that one a couple of days ago again, and it
Uh,
just there's a lot of things wrong with it to me.
to me, it's a classic in the wrong way because the
Right,
problem is the thing is like we can't ignore that episode because we're Ronnie Ann fans, and that introduces Ronnie Ann. It's kind of important, and it's real we want to defend it because it introduces Ronnie Ann, but at the same time we can't because we know it's a bad episode. It's hard. It's conflicting.
right, but the stereotypes placed in that episode, like, oh, she's bullying you, that means she likes you. That just kind of
Uh,
sticks me the wrong way.
Yikes. I mean, it was true though. That the point is though it was true though. So I
Right.
don't know what to say about that.
And another one, this may be controversial, but One Flew Over the Loud House. I don't really care for that one because it's just kind of a stereotypical zombie infection episode.
Well,
Doesn't do anything to add to the plot of that kind of episode.
I mean, it's kind of hard to measure that episode now when certain situations still going on in our world. That's why they pulled it
Yeah.
from airing. So yeah, I think that episode's kind of gross to look back on. Yeah, I don't really like it that much.
I didn't even know it had gotten pulled. I never
Y-
heard that it gotten pulled.
Yeah, apparently it did from airings for a while on Nickelodeon. They pulled it just because it has the implications of spreading a disease around to the family members. They don't want kids to be reminded of that.
Yeah, understandable. And then the other one that I didn't really quite care for was A Novel Idea. Lincoln was kind of ungrateful in that episode, wasn't he?
Huh. You know, that's an episode I haven't like thought about. I don't. I mean, to say Lincoln was very what would you say ungrateful in that
I said
episode?
ungrateful because he just kind of acted like he didn't want to be with his mother because there was something better on the other side of the street.
Well, I mean, if you were Lincoln, I would you choose to be in a dentist's office or playing like whatever they were doing at Lynn's office? I mean, like they were having a great time making the best of it. But then again, you gotta give it to Lincoln for at least doing the best he could to make fun out of being in a dentist's office, though. So you can't really
Right.
blame him.
I would prefer obviously doing what they were doing at the dad's office, but if it was told to me you got to come to the dentist office with me instead, I wouldn't complain and mope around, I'd find something to do.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, he did do that in the end, but uh, yeah. As for me, like again, there are so many episodes I could name from season one that I absolutely despise. Of course, Out on the Limo. I mean, everybody agrees that episode is trash just because Lincoln is horrible in that episode. I absolutely agree.
Hmm.
I think he's the worst in that episode. Even like he's like such like season one Lincoln to me is such a selfish prick sometimes. Like when I first got into the show, even Save the Date, he's such a real like selfish kid. Like he's so mean. Like I just don't like season one Lincoln because they make him like to me he feels more like what he like he's 12 years old now. Like season one Lincoln feels too mature than being a kid. So like sometimes he'd just be so selfish to where he looks bad, or he just does selfish things and the sisters get mad at him for it, or he just has to learn in the end, oh, I should have not done this thing. And there's a few examples I can think of on the top of my head. Like another one that I think is such a trash episode, literally because Lincoln is put in the trash can, is Girl Guru. That episode is just garbage in every possible way. Because again, it is another stereotypes the episode where it's like, oh, Lincoln is like giving girl advice and he thinks that every girl likes everything that his sisters does. Lincoln, don't you know your sisters don't all like the same exact thing, and that means that other girls won't like the same exact things as your sisters do? Like to me, that just made like Lincoln look so dumb on his end, thinking, "Oh, my sisters like this, then a girl will like this." That completely makes no sense. Like I get it. Again, he's a kid. He doesn't understand that stuff, but I just think that was one of the stupidest. Like that made Lincoln look so stupid on his end, thinking, "Oh, my sisters like something, that means other girls will like that thing." No, that's not how humans work, Lincoln. uh,
Yeah, and even his logic was even flawed because, like you say, just because 10 girls like something doesn't mean every girl. There's way more than 10 girls on Earth.
yeah,
So,
I could say I like The Simpsons, but not everybody on the planet is going to like Simpsons the way I do. Or like The Color
right.
Purple. I like The Color Purple. I'm sure someone else doesn't like The Color Purple the way I do. So, I mean, obviously that was the lesson he needed to learn, but I just felt it was so stupid that he thought that, oh, my sisters like a thing, that other girls will like that thing and they'll like the guys or whatever. Like, this is so bad. Like, I'm trying. I just it's so hard to think about season one because like there's so many episodes, or even roughing it again. Stereotype the episode. Lincoln thinks that he's just like softening up, and because he's starting to like hanging out with his sister. So him and Clyde go into the woods to be manly man, and then it's like, oh, I do like hanging out with my sisters. Yeah, that was such a waste of an episode. Like I just I hate the season one to me is the stereotype season. I think there's so many episodes that are just full of stereotyping to where when you look back at these episodes, they do not hold up whatsoever.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree on roughing it. It's something I didn't talk about in my initial thing on my least favorite episode, but I agree that it's quite, put it bluntly, I'm gonna say it's a garbage episode because honestly, it doesn't matter if you're a guy that likes doing girly stuff. That's if you like hanging out with sisters, that's not a problem.
Yeah. All right. So my second to last question for you for season one is, of course, season one the main theme was about Lincoln surviving in a house full of 10 sisters, but now the show has evolved to mostly focusing on the family as a unit. It's mostly just surviving in a huge family versus the sisters being an obstacle. And of course, now we have, because again, season one we didn't see the parents' faces until the reveal in season two with Level Out to Leaping. So, do you think this change was a good change? That Lincoln isn't like the main focus anymore, and it isn't about him surviving in a house full of 10 sisters. It's about living with this chaotic family and just being used to that.
Yes, I think that the show uh, actually improved in quality by a ton when they made it instead of just about Lincoln, when they made it about everyone. Because you can only do so much with one person, but when you add everyone into the equation, you can do infinite possibilities in a way. So I think it definitely improved and has been better ever since they expanded it to everyone.
I agree. Again, because, people are going to say Lincoln bias, Sonny, but I will say that I'd rather have the show be a focus on the whole family, because, again, it is the Loud House, not the Lincoln House. In my head, it's the Lincoln House, but in the show itself, it's the Loud House. And I do, through the years, I started to really appreciate a lot of the stuff they did with the sisters. Because again, I love Lori, I love Lola, I like Lenny now, of course. So seeing that there are episodes I enjoy that focus on the sisters or any other character that isn't Lincoln is great. Because again, Lincoln, I love him. But if I feel like if the show just revolved around him for 4 or 5 seasons, it would get stale. People would complain about it because, where are the sister episodes, where are the side character episodes? But now that they've expanded the universe and even making its own spin-off to where, again, there's a spin-off focusing on one of Lincoln's friends, but she has her own life now, I think is great. And even having Lincoln's friends like Clyde or Stella have their own episodes, or even Lincoln having this group of friends that he's expanded on, or just the whole, again, the sisters having friends, or just this whole universe is just expanded on, then just having it revolve around Lincoln was such a great change. And again, season 5, I say season 5 has the best Lincoln, because again, Lincoln has grown so much. And looking back at season 1, I think season 1 Lincoln is just, not good to look back on. And now he's evolved so much to where I love him more. So I would say, as a fan of the Loud House, not just Lincoln, they definitely did a better job with expanding the world.
Yeah, and this is going to definitely be I wouldn't say controversial, but something that people are going to disagree with. But the voice actor for Lincoln in most season 1, Grant Palmer, uh, more the voice actors now, like Asher Bishop, they do a better job portraying the character and getting into the role more than previous voice actors have, in my opinion.
Oh, I definitely agree on that. Grant Palmer was a good Lincoln for what Lincoln represented in season 1. Because again, I feel like season 1 Lincoln, we look back at episodes kind of like Tale of Two Tables and some other episodes where they tried to make Lincoln more mature because he was the focus. So, they don't. What we do with Lincoln, we're trying to, make him feel more mature than 11-year-old, which I didn't like. Looking back at it, I personally don't like. Since Lincoln's 12 years old now, he should be more mature now than he was at 11 years old. So once they started shifting the focus away from Lincoln, he could be an actual kid. But I like in season 5 that Asher Bishop, for example, I think he's the best Lincoln so far, because he has such great energy for Lincoln and what Lincoln represents now. Just again, this headstrong, active, confident kid who's gone through so much in 5 seasons, to where again he's 12, so he's really just embraced his confidence and he isn't scared about his reputation or anything like that. So, of course, I've talked about how much Lincoln means a lot to me as a character, so seeing how much he's grown from season 1 to season 5 is great. But, and again, like you said, the voice actors reflect that. I'm not saying every Lincoln voice actor is bad. For example, Colin D was okay. I don't really think he's that great. Tex was alright as well. The ones in the middle were fine. I just think Asher just brings this energy where I feel like it was missing from what Lincoln was in the last couple of these seasons. But I think Grant also did a good job for what Lincoln represented in season 1, if that makes sense.
It does, and I agree. He definitely did a good job for what Lincoln was in season 1, but Asher does the role a lot of justice now that they've expanded his personality and his the way the show works around him and everyone related to him.
Yeah, because, again, I complained about season 4. I'm going to talk about this when I record the season 4 and 5 retrospective. But I'm going to be, just hating on the fact that season 4 did Lincoln so dirty. And so when they finally, they replaced Tex with Asher, Asher came in the last few episodes of season 4, which I think they did a really good job with his introduction, since his introduction was a Darkest Story Night. But once season 5 came around and they were saying, oh, hey, now that Lori's gone, we can finally focus on Lincoln being the main protagonist of the show again. They've done so much of Lincoln and having Asher be his voice actor now. They really brought in somebody who really just embraced what Lincoln is now character wise. And, I just, yeah. But talking about season 1, I just, it's fun to look back at this stuff now, thinking about how much the show has evolved from season 1 to season 5. But it's funny how it's like season 1 was the Lincoln House, and season 5 is kind of the revival of the Lincoln House. Would you say that it's kind of like the revival of Lincoln? I would say that.
I would say that, and it's doing a better job at being the Lincoln House. And on that topic, it's doing a much better job of using his character effectively.
Yeah, because when I talk about it on the season 4, season 5 episode, they've also referenced season 1 as well, so they did a great job on that. But one last question for you revolving around season 1 and the future of the Loud House. Now that the show has continued on, since we've had seasons 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to get 6, and a spin-off, of course. Is there anything from season 1 that you could think of that they should elaborate on or bring back in future episodes? Or is there any missed opportunities or anything from season 1 that you can possibly think of that they should mention or reference or bring back? Because again, season 5 has referenced things from season 1, like Caesar's cheating and things like that. But is there anything from season 1 that you think should be represented in the next future seasons of the show?
Well, I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Mainly because I'm not the best at long-term memory of references from shows. So, I mean, I don't have them in my head to remember. But I mean, I would like to see them reference stuff like Save the Date again. I would like to see that reference in some way, shape, or form in a crossover or something. But yeah.
I mean,
That's really all I can think of.
I would absolutely love a sequel to Save the Date, like a Lobby and Roddy Kid double date. Like that's like another dream episode of mine. But first, they gotta do my Roddy Kid dream episode before they can do the 2 double date sequel episode from that. I mean, if they ever did reference that, which they did reference it in the vlogs, which aren't canon, but if they ever did, I probably just die happy that day if that ever happened.
Yeah, I want them to kind of not do like Star Wars of Evil or something and wait to get their relationship in right before the show ends. I want to have time for them to flesh that relationship out.
Yeah, because I was talking about it on Loud Casa Talks. We were talking about continuity in the show, and I remember them mentioning or they were kind of saying, "Oh, well, here's some relationships that should have happened," and they put in Roddy Kid, and I had to say, actually, not yet. I mean, it's like, okay, guys, I know it's like Save the Date. We all thought maybe with the kiss they might become a couple, but I knew right away wouldn't happen because I don't want that to happen. I mean, again, like for example, Amphibia, Spring and Ivy, they're 10 years old, they're together, they got together in season 1, but that's how that show rolls. I feel like with this show, The Loud House is a completely different show, and like Link and Roddy have their own lives now, but they're still important to each other. And I think if they ever were to get them together, I think that's why I like the slow progression versus just like, okay, they're together, but what now? It's like, all right, well, what we do with them? Well, we need to make an episode about them. Clearly, Loud House, you need to do that first. But I'm saying, like, I like that they just slowly build it, but I'm repeating myself, but that's just how I roll. Like I like how IBS. I don't know where I'm going with this. I've lost my train of thought. I was just thinking about how I lost my train of thought. But yeah, no, I definitely agree. It definitely works out. But yes, okay. So thank you so much, Seren, for doing this with me, talking about season 1 of The Loud House. I had a lot of fun talking about this with you, of course, and looking back at the first season of the show as the show has progressed throughout the years. So again, thank you so much for doing this with me, as always.
It was extremely fun. Like I said at the beginning, I'm It's very glad we finally got to do this. It got rescheduled way more than I'd like to admit.
Yeah, well, life happens. What can you do? But at least we got at least we got it done, and that's what's great about it. All right, so is there any social media you like to plug on my show before we go?
Yeah, as Sunny said, I'm Sarah, and I do the CasaLoud Cybercast, which is on Twitter at CSG Cybercast, and my animation Twitter account, which I'm using to announce a whole bunch of stuff in the next couple of weeks. On the Cybercast is at Seren Santiago. I keep everything separate from my radio show stuff now so it doesn't get confused. But yeah, and then obviously I'm on YouTube at Seren CSG as well. So all of that aside, thanks for letting me come on again.
Of course, of course. I always love having you on. You'll probably come back another time again because I always love having you on, man. You're the best. And
I always enjoy being on.
What was that?
I always enjoy being on. I look
Oh,
forward to coming on.
well, I same for you. Every time I come on your show, I always enjoy coming out as well. So thank you. Uh, and as for me, if you have any questions about the podcast or want to discuss the podcast with me, you can contact me over at Eclipse on Twitter or at the podcast on Twitter, CasaLoud Chats. And again, as we continue on into our season retrospectives for the Loud House, next time we'll be talking about season 2 of the Loud House as it expands on the show as we move forward into looking back on the seasons of the Loud House on our retrospective on CasaLoud Chats. So again, we'll see you all next time on CasaLoud Chat.